Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jane.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm enjoying my coffee, as I said.
I see that. I am quite the coffee drinker myself, so I totally get.
I woke up early to, send out some emails and stuff like that. So, just trying to get an early start to the day. Because I do work full time, so a lot of the stuff that I do for Torchlit Inc. and for like Bookstagram and stuff, I do on weekends and at night during the day, during the evening. So yeah,
Wow, you're a busy woman, aren't you?
yeah, yeah. Busy, but good, right? Right? So it's a lot of
Yeah.
fun. So, yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for inviting me to be a guest. I'm super excited. This is like my first. I mean, I've been on like lives and a couple of like interviews before, but this is kind of like my first official, like podcast kind of video. So I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. So I'm happy to like be here, but also support you and your space as well. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Of course. Thank you so much for wanting to join and wanting to do this with me. I'm very excited to have you on. You were one of the very first people actually that I met when I first joined Bookstagram. So fast forward to all
Yeah.
this later, it's just wow.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny because I've been on Bookstagram for uh it'll be like 6 years. 6 years in April. Um so yeah, it's been like a long time. And then before that, like Bookstagram didn't really exist. It was all about like Facebook. And so I was on Facebook for years. I had a Facebook page and then I also had a blog. So I had a blog page like before all of this. So like it started like honestly, the book world, I started like doing all of this stuff. Oh gosh, it's probably like going on 12 years, I think. So it's, yeah. So
Oh
it's
wow.
like, yeah, but it's been so much fun. And it's funny because like so much has changed in like, the 10, like honestly, the decade. Like not many people like use Facebook as much anymore. And then like Instagram blew up to Bookstagram now. TikTok didn't even exist. So it's just like it's kind of cool to see how it kind of like transitions throughout all this like the time span, but then also like the community is still there and the community has just grown exponentially. Which is kind of like it kind of like makes my heart happy. So
Yeah, it's really amazing when you look and, like you said, see how far things have evolved and come since back in the day when Facebook was the hottest thing on the planet.
yeah, it was like I don't know, and Facebook was like everyone was just on Facebook and or like Tumblr was huge.
Yes.
Yeah, so like that was huge too. And I was like, do people even use Tumblr anymore? Like, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. No idea. No idea. But it's fine. I just go with the flow kind of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah. I just, kind of ramble, but that's me, right? Like, I just love to ramble and like talk, and especially because like the book world is like so like I'm so passionate about it, and so I mean, because I think that's because I've been involved. I've been in part of the book world for so long. I have a lot of like the historical like context and the familiarity with it. So yeah,
Right. Yeah, I'm new-ish, like, well, it's only been like several months now since I joined, but like I have already just felt so welcome and have loved the community. Like it's really like no other. It's really something special being on Booksta and talk meeting other book lovers because that's actually why I started. I was like, I'm just gonna make a little account because I need to have somewhere to talk about these books that I love and with people who get it.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. And like for me, I started because um I don't really have anybody like that I know personally, like who read. So I'm just, like I don't know who to talk to about like my family doesn't read, my coworkers didn't read, my friends didn't read. And, I would like hang out in Barnes and Nobles, for hours and hours, or like the library. And, um, I just saw like all these like Facebook pages popping up that were like book blogs on Facebook, and I started following them, and I was like, you know what, I want to do that. It's just, it's kind of how it evolved, and yeah. So like, I'm curious. So what book got you into like to reading? What kind of sparked that interest where you're like, okay, I'm really passionate about this and I want to start, talking and doing reviews and stuff.
Well, that would actually be, um, like I said, I used to read when I was younger, and then I just sort of
Yeah.
stopped. So it wasn't till last year that in 2024 I decided, you know what, I want to read some more stories. I want to give this hobby a shot again. So I
Yeah.
tried. Let's see, what was the first one? I think the very first book that I read was better than no, it was yeah, it was better than the movies, Spell Painter. And I was like, this was so good, which it's a YA romance,
Yeah.
and I loved it. And so
Yeah.
that sort of started it. And then I read The 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston, and
Hmm.
then I
That's good.
yeah, it was really interesting, and I think I need to go back and reread it because, like, I knowing some of the tropes that I know now, I feel like I would have enjoyed it even more because, like, I'm not a huge fan. I don't know about you, but, like, insta love is not my favorite thing.
Yeah.
So, like, if I had known that that was sort of what the story was like, I would have, I think, enjoyed it a lot more going in because I wouldn't
Hmm.
have had the shock of, like, "That was awful quick," you know?
Yeah.
So that definitely did it, but I think the one that sealed the cake was A Good Girl's Guide by Holly Jackson.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't read that one, but I've definitely like, yeah.
Oh my gosh, if you like thrillers, you definitely need to read that one. That
Yeah.
basically catapulted this whole thing for me, so what
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah.
What was that first special book?
I'm a bit of like older generation. I'm gonna be 40 this year.
Oh,
But so really the first book. So I was always reading like kind of like with you, like younger, and then I kind of took a break. Um, but really, my love of reading sparked with Twilight.
no
I
way.
like that, like 2007 or whenever that book was released. I remember reading it after I'd given birth to my daughter, and I was just like, I was so obsessed. I'm like, oh my gosh, Team Jacob all the way. Obsessed. I even had my husband read it. I read all the books, and then I was like on this paranormal like obsession for years. Like all I read was vampires and werewolves and like paranormal like fantasy. I'd read that for years. And I mean, and like specifically YA, like YA paranormal fantasy. And then I kind of ventured completely like 180 dark, like dark romance, like very like lots of triggers, and I
Yeah.
was eating it up. This is awesome. Um, so when I started reading like into like the dark like romance, I guess my dark romance era, my villain era, um, that's when I started like my book blog, and like that's when I started all that. So yeah, and then I was just like dark, dark all the way for years, 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 years. And then I ventured into like contemporary romance. And then I was introduced to mafia romance, and I like fell in I like mafia romance is my favorite
It's so
genre. Like to this day, I love because it has a little bit of like that darkness, that suspense element as well. Um, and I am a sucker for like a morally gray character. And even, it's like a badass female character, like I am all for that as well. So Mafia romance is definitely like I think my favorite. Like I would read all like regardless of if it's an unknown author, an indie, traditionally published, like I'm reading it. So yeah, it's like I love it. I love it so much. But I mean I read like all like genres within the romance genre. I don't necessarily venture out into other genres. I really just stick with romance. I mean, sometimes I'll do like a thriller, but there has to be some type of romance element to it.
Yeah.
Um, but really, it's just romance, and that's all I read. Like every single book on the shelf behind me, it's like probably romance. And then I have like bookshelves in the hallway, bookshelves in my living room, bookshelves in the bedroom. So it's like all romance. There are, like I said, there are some stuff in there that isn't romance, but it's either because I won like the book from a giveaway or it's one of my husband's books, free book, the library or something, and they're like, hey, and I'm like, sure, I'll take it. I'll take the book. So
You can't say no to books. Like, give me all of them.
take it. So yeah, so Twilight was like the book that like had me read and get into that. And like to this day, like if I see Twilight on like TV, I'm stopping to like watch it.
You could not have
Yes.
picked a better book because that's actually the first series that I ever read.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Which I was younger. I think I was like fifth, 14 or 15 when I read it.
Yeah.
And so, like, I wasn't up on all things bookstagram or stuff like that back then.
Yeah.
So I basically just read Twilight over and over and
Hmm.
discovered a whole new world this previous year. And
Yeah.
I need to read some other stuff because Twilight was
Yeah.
the first love for me. And
Yeah.
but I didn't really
Yeah.
start my journey because, like I said, I was really young when I read it. But I still reread it all the time to this day.
Mhm. It's so good. I actually have like this top like corner right here is the whole series, like the special edition.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Like that's something like I like to this day. Now, my favorite book of the series is Eclipse. That was my favorite book of the series. My least favorite was Breaking Dawn. I thought that was like, I don't know, wasn't for me, but it was like really long for like no reason, I think, and I lost a lot of interest. Um, but yeah, I do like New Moon as well. But yeah, great series. And then that also led me to read The Vampire Diaries.
Oh
And
my gosh.
phenomenal series as well. And this was like I read Twilight before, right? So I read Vampire Diaries and I'm like, man, this is like so similar to Twilight, like the same like concept. But then I found out that the Vampire Diaries was originally published in the 90s and it was republished like as like the vampire genre like got more popular. And so I was like, it's very interesting. Like those books somewhere in my shelf too.
I
Yeah.
love that. I've only read a few of
Yeah.
them because so did you read them or watch the show first? Like which came first?
I read them first.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. 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 I read them first. And then when the show came out, there's always differences between the books and the show.
Right.
Um, but I thought the show did like a really, really good job. So yeah.
Yeah. I want to go back and
Yeah.
read the rest of the series. I think I've only read like 4 maybe because I watched the show first
Yeah.
and it was like sort of confusing to read the books because of like you said the differences. But I really do need to pick
Hmm.
it back up because I do love that aspect and like seeing what it
Yeah.
originally started as well. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's so good. And there was like, I think there was like 4 books first. And then LJ Smith, the author, she would continue to write like sequels to the books. And yeah, it's just a good series. Such a good series. I love the Vampire Diaries series. And Damon holds my heart. Like Team Damon all the way.
girl, same, same. I was Team Damon since Hello Brother. So
And in the book, Oh my gosh, yeah, I was, like, totally, like, "Team David, please." Like, I'm good.
I know. I love the crow thing in the books because they didn't really talk about that in the show. Like, it was sort of
Yeah,
hinted at, but, like, they didn't actually come out and say, "Okay, this is what's happening." So I really love
yeah,
that.
yeah, and I think, like, I mean, it's been years since I've read the series, but I do like I mean, there were so many different, elements that were in the TV show, which they kind of expanded on, like, the Klaus character in
Yeah,
the book. I felt like he was, like, there and, like, gone, like, bye.
yeah,
But, like, in the series, the TV show, he had, like, this whole arc. He had the spin-off, like, Originals, which is
yeah.
another fantastic show.
Yes.
So, yeah, so I definitely, like, liked how the series creators, like, did that and they kind of, like, developed his character even further.
Right.
Um, I really like that a lot. So, like, I get, like, you know, dedicated and, like, hardcore fans, they always want it to be, like, just like the book, but I do like, elements of, familiarity, but also, like, they're doing kind of their own thing. I don't know. I think that's very creative, so I
Yeah,
liked it.
it makes it a lot more like because 'cause you're not just watching everything play out the way you know it's going to, so, like, you're also surprised as well when you start watching the series.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was such a good book and TV series as well as the original, so, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like, I don't know, like I said, like, I've just gone off and read so many different books. Like, my like, I just pretty much read, like I said, anything in the romance world, and I have, like, these books, like, on my desk that I'm trying to, like, figure out, like, what were my top reads last year. Um, and, like, there's, like, 10 different, like, romance genres that I'm looking at.
I love that.
Yeah, like, I don't know, it's like it's a bit of mood reading, but also, there were a lot of arc reads that I did last year as well, so, yeah. So, I
Yeah,
don't know.
last year was a big arc year for me as well, and I actually had just tried out the dark romance genre, and then I am dipping my toe in now, like, the historical romance, and so it's really fun getting to see, and I'm like, I didn't really feel like I would enjoy historical romance that much, but now it's one of my favorites.
I love that, yeah. I think historical romance is definitely, like, um, has a different type of audience, especially, like, fans of, like, Bridgerton and,
Yeah.
stuff like that, The Duke and I, that. But I also like historical elements, not so much as, like, it doesn't have to be, like, super spicy, but I love, like, the Regency era,
Yes.
and so I just love, like, how, like, the whole, like, process of, like, courting and, like, there's so much, like, proper nice and clean, and I don't know, I thought that was really, like, I don't know, I just love all that stuff, so, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, um, yeah, but I mean, I haven't read much, like, historical romance last year. I think I read, like, a couple of historical romance books, but honestly, I think I read close to 200 books last year, and I can't remember all of them.
Wow, that is a big number.
Yeah, yeah, and it would have been more, but, like, starting my business, kind of took away from my reading time.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it's just yeah, but, it's good.
yeah. So I know you've been on, Bookstagram for, like you said, 6 years or around. Have you always wanted to start your own business, or was that, like, something new that you had that?
Yeah, so, I started because okay, so I read a lot. I read mostly indie. I very rarely read traditionally published authors, like, very, very rarely. And, I being in the Bookstagram world and reading primarily indie, you get to become friends with a lot of, like, indie authors, and I saw a lot of them like getting taken advantage of when it comes to like marketing and PR and from like a cost perspective. And I'm just kind of like being indie is hard enough as it is.
Right.
And so I just wanted to make like a space for them where I can like give them like dedicated support, but also like truly care and want to make sure that I can do what I can for them to be like successful and stuff, but also at an affordable price.
Right.
Um, because being indie, like, you pay for everything. So there's no like advance from the publisher or anything like that. And the publisher like takes care of like the behind the scenes, the editor, designer, like all of that. So because of that, I just wanted to help. And um I was also involved before Bookstagram in the indie author world because 10 something years ago, I also published. So I'm familiar with like being an indie author as well.
Oh,
And so
wow.
because of that, I kind of have like an understanding of what they go through.
Mhm.
And so it's just kind of like, it makes sense for me to kind of help and support and um but I can't play. My dog wants to play. This is Cosmo. Cosmo, my dog.
Oh,
So
cute.
yeah, so I just wanted to help and like I said and support and um really just give advice. And I mean, I don't claim to be like a super marketing expert or anything like that, but I think because I've kind of been in the world for so long, like I understand, like what readers want to see, what influencers want to see. And really it's just kind of just like throwing out ideas and helping them, but also making sure that the indie authors are getting the support they need without being like taken advantage of and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, that was really it.
Well, thank you for doing that because, like
Yeah.
you said, being on Bookstagram, you really do get a little bit of an understanding and you build a relationship with indie authors and you see the processes that they go through. And so it's really great when someone wants to be that big cheerleader for them. That's
Yeah, and it's
what it is.
yeah, thank you. I mean, like I said, I just wanted to help and like support, and especially from like a cost perspective, and like I mean, let's be honest, I'm not out here to like make a buck, right? Like I just want to make sure that like they're getting the exposure that they're trying to get, and it's not easy. Like I always tell my clients that publishing a book, like the writing is the easiest part.
Yeah.
Writing a book is the easiest part. Once you finish the book and you have to start doing all the marketing, that's when it's like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Kind of thing. And so, I just kind of help, and I liked it, right? So I like doing it. So I'm like, why not? Why not help? So
Well, that's amazing. And I'm very happy to have been there since you first started the business. And I've loved watching
yes.
it grow and get more authors and more followers. And I have loved every book. So,
Yes, no, and I appreciate like you being part of like the influencer team and kind of like helping spread the word about that and everything. And I don't know, like I didn't honestly like I didn't really expect it to kind of blow up as much as it did because when is it? It's about to be 4 months in like a couple days. And I'm like, 4 months,
wow.
4 months
Since so
since I
long?
launched it. I know. And so I just like I'm closing in on about 50 like clients right now, about to hit number 50, and like already booking into like June. It's just I don't know, like I just did not expect it to be as demanding,
Yeah.
especially because I'm not like I won't ever consider myself like a big like PR, like business PR company. I mean, there's so many other like amazing PR companies out there. Um, but I think like at the end of the day, I think a lot of authors and influencers like yourself, like they see, like, the dedication and wanting to help and support, and specifically like helping indie, give them like the recognition that like indie authors deserve. Like,
They
and
do.
I think too, like there's also that stigma that like, oh, you're indie, you're not good enough for traditional publishing. I'm like, no, screw that. Like
No,
that's not how it works. Like a lot of people choose to be indie because they want full control of their,
exactly.
you know, their work. And when you go to traditional publishing, you don't have that control. And it's just, I don't know, like it kind of like got me upset about it, like, people a lot of downplaying indies and they're not good enough and because they can't find an agent or whatever it may be. And I was like, that's not
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Some of my absolute favorite books have been indie reads, so it is definitely that is not the case. Like they are just as important as New York Times bestsellers.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's not to say that an indie author can't be a New York Times bestseller. Like,
Right.
yes, it's a lot harder, but they can do it. One of my first indie authors that I fell in love with like 10 plus years ago. I don't think she publishes anymore, but her name is Pamela Ann, and New York Times bestseller, USA Today, indie only, and I loved her books. A lot of her books were inspired by um, Jane Austen,
Yeah.
and so a lot of the like the male characters, like Mr. Knightley and stuff like that. So like a lot of that that like Jane Austen element was reflected in her books, which I loved, and it was like a more contemporary, like modern, time, like era
Yeah.
with a little bit of spice, of course. But
Of course, we gotta have a little.
like favorite one of my favorite authors. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, so she was like New York Times, and I got the opportunity to meet her
Oh, wow.
years ago at a book event, yeah, in New York. And yeah, she was like amazing, and like I said, indie. So I don't know, I've been in love with indie ever since. Like I said, I honestly started reading traditional books like last year, but very few, very few. So yeah, it's mostly indie for me.
Well, that's really wonderful, and I will definitely be checking out her books now because they sound like right up my alley. So yeah,
Yeah, she's so good.
yeah, it sounds really, really fun because like, I actually still haven't read, like, Pride and Prejudice. I'm very late to the game. I have the copy. I just haven't actually sat down and read it yet, but I'm very excited to dive into some of the classics.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites. I think my favorite book from Jane Austen is Sense and Sensibility.
Yeah.
Um, I love that book. So yeah, so so good, so good.
I know you, mentioned book events. Do you go to, like, several or yes?
Yeah. So I'm actually going to a huge event in Valentine's weekend out here in Phoenix.
Ooh.
It's called Wild and Windy in the West, or Wild and Windy West, or something like that, and it's huge. It's the same girls that do like Wild and Windy in Chicago. Um, so I've been going to their book events for years. I went to the Chicago one like before COVID. And now they have one out here in Phoenix, and I'm like, I'm going. There's gonna be so many authors there, like 40 something authors, and it's gonna be so great. Um, I can't even remember like who's on the list. So like one of my favorite mafia romance authors is gonna be there,
Oh
and
my
that's Jill Ramsauer. And Jill Ramsauer is the best, like in my opinion, mafia romance author, and she's gonna be there. Her book, The Devil's Thirst, just like came out a couple of like weeks ago. Hit
uh-huh.
number like 50 on Amazon.
Oh,
Like she's huge, and I'm like getting goosebumps that I get to meet her. She actually sent me like a PR box a couple of weeks ago. She's like the sweetest, most genuine, like, oh my gosh, she's so sweet. And I just want to squeeze her. Excited to do that.
That's
But also
amazing.
like to meet so many other like authors as well that I haven't read before. Um, so it's gonna be like it's a whole weekend. So it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm also going to I'm going to Steamy Lit in October, which is like in Anaheim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
So
That's a
like
big deal.
yeah, I'm going to Steamy Lit and then there's another event I think out here. It's called oh I forgot what it was called, but it's in March out here in Phoenix. I forgot what it was called. It's not Readers in the Valley because that just happened. It's another one. I can't remember. Yes, yes. Not two events. Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like you have an incredible lineup for the year, so I'm very excited for you to get to go and do all of that and meet everybody.
Yeah, it's so much fun. It could be a little chaotic, but I love it. You just get to meet like influencers as well and authors and other like PR people. So um it's cool. I always tell everyone, even if it's like a smaller event, I always tell like author, reader, influencer, like gotta go to at least one because it's a lot of fun. And it's just so exciting to kind of see, like people that you've interacted with like in person. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah. I live in Kentucky, so we don't really get a whole lot of events around. And I have seen the stimulant and I'm like, why is it in California? And so I was really
Yeah.
happy to get like I think I have 3 lined up this year, so I'm very excited for those.
Yeah, I know it's not Kentucky, but maybe it was Kentucky. But before COVID, there was this event called Bluegrass event.
Uh-huh.
It was either Kentucky or Tennessee. It was one of those. And they used to have one every year. There was also one in West Virginia that I went to all the time. Because I lived in Virginia like before COVID. Um, so I would do like all these events on like the East Coast, and like leading into like the West Virginia, Tennessee border.
Yeah.
Um, and when you go, like, get like that little cart from Amazon where you can like stack your books because you would just want to buy all the books that you just see. You're like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So get like a cart that you can like pull around. So just invest.
I
That's the
literally have
best.
art in my Amazon cart to get.
Yes. You need it. You need to invest. Get the cart.
Yeah.
Trust me, because you don't want to be carrying all those books
Oh my gosh.
and just it's gonna be yeah. It's and then not only that, like a lot of authors have like swag on their table that you can just take as well. So and that stuff adds up like stickers and bookmarks and keychains and pens and like all that stuff. And so like all those little knickknacks
Yeah.
are
Yeah, I will definitely be purchasing one of those.
yeah. Yeah. So I'm really excited. This will be my first event after COVID. I haven't been to any since COVID. So I'm
Oh,
really
wow.
excited to get back in, the groove. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm so excited. I can't wait. So yeah,
Well, I hope you have a
it's gonna be great. Yeah, I'm gonna take like a lot of like pictures and videos and I'm gonna post them on Instagram. So that's like the plan. And I have like some business cards that I'm probably gonna pass out to, like network.
Yeah, that is actually fantastic.
So I'm trying to, build my business too, but also like support at the same time. So yeah, it's gonna be great. I know I'm gonna be so exhausted. I think I might have to like take the day off, like the Monday after, 'cause I'm gonna be like wiped.
Yeah, you're gonna have a book hangover, that's for sure.
Insane. And so it's during Valentine's, and so my husband's like, "Wait a minute, you're not even gonna be here?" I'm like, nope. Like priority, like books, come first.
It's too
We
funny.
could do Valentine's before. We could do Valentine's after. Like, I am not missing this event. I've waited a year to go to this event. Like, I bought my tickets a year ago. So, yeah, this takes priority.
We love some understanding hubbies, so that's great. They need to support the obsession, you know?
Yes, yes, and he does. He does support it, but sometimes he's like, "Come on."
Really? Yeah, I totally get that. That's so funny. What like, if you could live in any book world, any fictional world, what would it be? I'm very curious.
Oh my gosh, that is the toughest question. That's like the toughest question. I would definitely say like Fort Washington, like Twilight World. Um,
Same.
but yeah, like I I don't know. I think I probably think it was like Fort Washington. But I don't know. Like I'm kind of I know we're running on time, but I just started reading Akatar last year, and I love the concept of Valaris. And I think I would love to be there.
Yes.
So I don't know. Can I have like a blend of like Valaris and like Forks? I
I
don't know.
don't think there's a more perfect combination, to be honest. So, yeah.
I haven't finished it. I just started the third book. Um, but yeah, I'm like so behind on like that, like Akatar. Haven't read Fourth Wing, like any of those books. So I'm just
They're on
like,
my shelves, but I've just not had time to
they're on my shelves. I have like the whole like Akatar series behind me. Fourth Wing is behind me. Like I don't know.
I love that.
So what would be your fictional world?
It would definitely be Forks, Washington, like you said. And even though I just started Akatar, I can tell I already love where it's set and everything. So that would be close.
Yeah,
And then I just read The Renegade Billionaire by Avery Maxwell, and Happiness, Georgia would also be a great place to live because I
yeah,
absolutely loved
yeah.
the story. So it was a 6-star read for me. So those three would be great options.
Love it.
Thank you so much for wanting to do this and guest on here. I had so much fun
Yes,
chatting with you.
yes, 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 yes. Thank you for having me. It was great. I loved the conversation. It just felt like really natural and
Yeah.
anytime, like you're looking for guests, like I'm happy to be back as well. So, but I
Perfect.
appreciate you and everything that you're doing for the book world as well. So,
Well,
thank
thank
you. Thank you,
you.
Siri.
Thank you, Jane. And yeah, everybody needs to go check out Torchlit Inc. because they got some amazing book tours as well. So, and if you're authors,
Yes, yes. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. Thanks for having me.
yeah, of course. Thank you.